didn't line up with an end of a week. So this kind of helped that tomorrow, we might still be in 535, but the homework tomorrow will be the closure. Wednesday, like if we get to it, we might play some Jenga tomorrow. Probably won't be playing Jenga till Wednesday. And then we'll probably start the mastery on Thursday. Okay, so mainly this is your homework that you have this week for me, and there may not be anything else. So if you are behind, here's your chance to catch up. Does anyone need 533 or 534 right now? And also 535, but if you need anything, come on over here, Par. You're going to be my example. So I got two spots that are now going to start to both operate. This is where I keep all of the papers that I haven't necessarily handed out yet. But then I realized I needed a spot to keep the papers that I have handed out, and you might just need extras. So that's what that black and white little thing that looks like this over there is going to have, is stuff that has already been handed out. I haven't moved it over there yet, but then I'll label stuff, right? I'll put like a little post-it there that says chapter 5. So if you need 533, that's here. What do you need? 533. And then 534. I have a couple no names. So do you need 535 also? I have your 534. Oh, you want that back? I get what we're doing now. Aiden, what do you, actually, you can just come over here and find what you want. 534. There you go. So we're going to answer a couple of these class problems. Sorry, I should have just handed that back to you. A little brain fart there for a second. All right, so 533 answers. Yeah, it looks like we didn't really go over this too much. So yeah, this is due today and we haven't gone over it. If you have wrong answers, please ask. If you didn't know how to solve it, please ask. But if you just didn't do it, that's on you. You got to come to math lunch or AO or extensions. Like, if you just straight up haven't tried it yet, that's a you thing. So reminder, math lunch is happening. Some people have the very suggested you should come to math lunch, and it's open for everyone. If you are just writing down answers, please stop. Don't do that. Try these problems on your own. But what questions do we have? Also, some of you did not turn in the 533 resource page. Those dates will go, or those grades will go in after today. So if you find your 533 resource page in your binder right now, you probably want to give that back to me. All right, a bajillion papers. These are all in order. Like, we'll apply assignment, so it should. Hey guys, why are we talking instead of checking answers? So guys, I think a lot of us have figured out if we care about right now and care about checking our homework, everything else is easier. Like the mastery ends up being easier, any quizzes end up being easier, our classwork. Mia, what's up? 126. Looks like one of those expression problems. All right, so radio station is giving away free t-shirts to students in the local middle school. Guys, I'm always highlighting stuff, and I'm going to try to get more highlighters out of our supply room so that you guys can keep using them in class. If you aren't highlighting or underlining your work, you're making it harder. Remember, this is not easy. That's a bad word, but we want to make it easier. So they're going to give away 40 shirts at Blue Sky, or Big Sky Middle School. They're going to give away 75 shirts at High Peaks. And then they tell us Big Sky and High Peaks total students. So notice that I'm highlighting color-coded. My Big Sky is both green. My High Peaks is both blue. So then, to figure out probability, it's part over whole. right? So that is how we get there. But wait, 126, those answers looked different. Oh, I looked up here and saw that. So if you leave your answer as a fraction, I don't really mind. So that's why you might be looking at this and saying, wait, my answer's not a percent. They went ahead and made their answer a percent. I'll do like one of these for you. If we think about the middle school, which I highlighted in green, how many people are going to get a shirt at the middle school? 40. Out of how many total people at the middle school? 350. So if you have 40 over 350, that's also right. If you do that division and take it to a percent, that's how you get the answer CPM has. So guys, this is another indication for me. If you only write down the percentage, you're going to get a check minus. Because how we do it in my class, we write down the fraction before we ever do anything else. I know when you're copying. I didn't start teaching yesterday. What other questions? Now, it is nice to put them to percent form because then we can compare them. So I'm not saying percent form's bad here, because if I leave them both as fraction form, they're a little hard to compare with each other. So you could at least put them to decimal form if you don't even go all the way to percent form. If you are not ready to turn in 533 right now, you should come to math lunch today. We are specifically going to be talking about 533 because it's due today, and then I'm also going to be helping anyone that needs other extra help. But 533, if you can't turn it in right now, I should see you at math lunch. So turn in what you need to turn in. If you're ready to turn in, turn it in. If you already turned it in, you got to turn it back in because I gave it back to you. I'll still take another question or two, but like no one was saying anything. About what? 1 to what? 123. Uh, 123 is going to have a bunch of different answers. So guys, Eve, one of our best question askers, just said 123. So they guessed 10 like I do, right? I love to start with a guess of 10. And what they tell us that I would have highlighted is this side is x plus 2, right? The second side. And what we're trying to do is get an area of 168. So they start us, but we need to go ahead and do the do. Does Mountain Dew still use that, or is Mountain Dew still popular? So, crap, I didn't need to write 120 here. What I needed to write here was that we're low, so we should go up. So then the work you're going to have here is other guesses like we did in class. So since we're too low, I might bump up to 13 or 14. I could just try like 12 if I wanted to next, and that would make this 14. So then when we go to do the do, and what we're trying to find out is, do we equal 168? So I don't even know. 12 and 14 look like they might work. And then 124a, parentheses first, which we're able to do here. So, guys, if you haven't done 124a, I should see pencils moving right now. I mean, if you already turned this in, great, you should already have this done. 5 plus 13 is 18.
Phoenix, could I please have Ava Chestnut to the Phoenix office? Ava, please come to the Phoenix office. Thank you.
So this is where some of us will get confused. In the multiply and divide step, I can do this multiplication and this multiplication separately, right? Half of 18, that's a multiplication. 4 times 5, that's a multiplication. Now I can do my subtraction. Yeah, so that's how we get negative 11. All right, let's get out real quick before we... I think I goofed this up again. No. 534. Pull out your 534 sheet, worksheet. 534. Because that's what Eli. Huh? Oh dang. Eli, see me after class. Because you guys are on your A game. Let's just. Sometimes it's easier for me to use the smartboard stuff. Sometimes it's just easier to show you what I put on your paper. So everyone look at the worksheet. Consecutive. That is just a fancy word. If you guys have ever heard like, oh, that's like a $5 word or expressions like that, I think they're more so from where I come from, like out in the country. But it's just a fancy word to say one after the next. But it gets tricky when we start talking about consecutive integers versus odd integers versus even integers. So real quickly, read through the, well, did someone want to read for us? Feeling like reading this morning? John, you want to go ahead and read the consecutive integers paragraph? You got to speak up.
Are integers that come one after another in order, that is, without skipping any of them. For example, 11, 12, and 13 are all three consecutive integers. The numbers 10, 12, 14, and 16 are four consecutive even integers because counting up from 10, no even numbers will skip.
So pause real quick. So they said 11, 12, and 13. So down here, I want you to write out, put a semicolon here. So like 11, 12, and 13. Those would be consecutive integers. Because if you need a reminder, integers, you might want to write this on your paper if you couldn't tell me, like if it ends up on a test or something. Cough, cough, nudge, nudge. An integer is the entire number. No fractions, no decimals. But it's different than a whole number. That's why we call it integers. Whole numbers are like, how many whole pizzas can I order? So, can I order -2 whole pizzas? No. But can I say I ate 2 pizzas yesterday? That is like -2. That's an integer. So, whole numbers just start at 1 and go up. Go ahead, John. Or, sorry, with consecutive... Crap, they gave us even before odd, didn't they? So, with the example for even, let's write it down in the even space. So, let's semicolon down here. 10, 12, 14, 16. Notice that both the even and the odd have x plus 2 as the second one. Can anyone tell me why, like, if I'm using x as my first number for even or odd, why is my second number now x plus 2? Somebody not John, since he's already reading for us. Why would I add 2 on both the evens or the odds? Vincent? Yeah, to skip the odd, right? So, John, go ahead and read with the likewise.
Likewise, 15, 17, and 19 are consecutive odd integers. In algebra, it is sometimes necessary to represent a list of consecutive integers. To represent any list in general, you must use variables. It is common to let x represent the first integers.
So x equals first number pretty much always. So if you're just being told, thank you, that's why I'm looking at you and waiting. If you're just being told consecutive numbers, we just keep adding 1, then another one, then another one. But this is why we're going to go x plus 1, x plus 2. Because if I start at 11, I add 1 to 11, then I add 2 to 11, then I add 3 to 11, or you could just tell yourself I keep adding 1 more, right? Plus 1, plus another 1, plus another 1. For odds, I got to skip the evens. So I add 2, then I add 4, then I would add 6. Not to the number before, but to the start number. And same thing with the evens, right? Evens and odds, like Vincent said, we got to skip the other ones. So let's look at Izzy's situation here. Go ahead and read with your... well, anyone not John want to read? We got to practice our reading skills, guys. Come on. Farah, is that a hand maybe? You want to read our 131 for us? I could, if you don't want to read, I don't care, but I thought I saw your hand move.
Sure. Izzy's team used 5D table to solve a problem that involves consecutive integers. Consecutive integers are integers that follow each other on a numbered line. The numbers 1, 2, and 3, 14, 15, 16...
So hold on real quick. We have this weird little symbol that we haven't used a lot. Can anyone tell me what this comma, dot, 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 comma, like why this is here? It continues on, so essentially it says, hey, you know what's here. It would be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then they keep counting, right? 14, 15, 16. But then they say, or we could also have negative consecutives. So if I start at -5, I could either go down and keep going -6, -7, or -5 can come up. -4, -3, and then it would keep going. So if you need to make a note of the dot, 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 that is technically called an ellipse, like an eclipse, but ellipse, take the C out of there. An ellipse, and it means it keeps going. Thank you, Farah. So work with your team. They tell us 15 is too big. Or sorry, 15 is too small, 20 is too big. What do we think here? Test it out like in your head before. What do we want them to add together to make? Does it tell us? What does it need to make? 57? Target sum right here. So I would highlight this maybe. Our target sum is 57. I think our too big guess is closer than our too small guess. This is closer. 63 is closer. 48 for a number of points. I would probably stay close to 20, but they know that it's too big. Our big one is closer to the small one, right? So I would probably stay close. Yeah, like you guys did. I would stay close to the 20 and see if it works. If we don't have a calculator at our group, we probably want that. If we don't have highlighters, we probably want that. And make sure that we're not spending so much time on pens that we're not doing that. You gotta, I know, just make sure we're not spending too much time on it. So I could guess 16, 17, 18, or 19, because I know it's between 15 and 20. Now we've had time to wake up, time for random cards. Might as well shuffle up because we got a new week. Kind of a new week, right? Last week barely counts. Aiden, you got a guess for me?
Yeah, 18.
18, Aiden says with a fair amount of confidence in his voice. So if 18 is my first number, what's the next consecutive number? Just shout it out. 19, because it was 18 plus 1. Then the next consecutive is 20. 18 plus 19 plus 20. Grab the calculator or do it in your head. Boom, I think we got it. So there is our reminder from last week about the 5D process and a little bit of new vocab with consecutive just means one after another. So if you didn't highlight or underline this, I maybe would if I was you. Consecutive just means one after another. Questions on what we just did? Just right there. Oh, yeah. All right, lunch is sent. That's done. Hey, you guys know we got a canteen on Friday?
What?
Yeah. We're a little out of whack because we had a snow day last week and we didn't have forum and we didn't have the end of the week to talk about the coming week. Yeah, this Friday is supposed to be a Valentine's Day canteen. So, hold up. Hey, I bring that up for a couple reasons. If you're really far behind on your work, you might not be allowed to go to the canteen because that's an extra thing, right? So us teachers need to talk because we missed our staff meeting too, like how you guys missed forum. But if you're way far behind, I would try to get caught up this week because you might, the decision to do the canteen might not be yours if you're really far behind. Trying to decide which problem I want to do next. We got 20 minutes left. I can't hear the question that you're asking. Yeah, I mean, you're reading my thoughts. That was a thought in my head of, well, how much should I put on there? There's only one of those, though. No, see, we're going to probably do that tomorrow. I made 535 your homework for tonight to keep us on the right track. We're really probably not going to do the 535 lesson today. It's a bit more active, and it needs more than 20 minutes. John? I mean, I would rather you keep it so you can check your answers tomorrow morning. I'm not going to do anything with it before tomorrow. I'm just going to put it in a separate stack. All right, so check this out. Graph paper. If you don't have graph paper, grab it. I'm trying not to move too quick. If you need graph paper, grab it. (533) or 534? So that's what John just asked about. I'd rather you keep it to check your answers tomorrow morning, right? Because I'm not really checking answers 2 days ahead. I realize it probably makes more sense to check answers right before it's due. And that also helps me because then if people copy down their answers, I can kind of pay attention to who I'm suspicious of. It's easy to tell when things look fishy, right? It walks like a fish and talks like a fish, swims like a fish. It's a little fishy. All right, so Alan's teammate Scott was working on a problem that we actually just skipped over. But Scott explained to his table to Alan that he used the pattern in the trials to make this table below. So what problem 129 was asking us to do is get to a perimeter of 36. When what they told us yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and see if anyone can figure it out from right here. What can we infer? Because we're getting a little deeper in the year where I'm trying not to give it all to you and let you guys kind of figure it out on your own. Check out this 5D table. And you can go ahead and start copying some of it down if you want. What can we figure out they told us based off this 5D table? And if you need some help, look at these questions. So, what does X represent in our table? What then would we do with the X, right? And I think I need to scroll down a scotch more. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. So there we go. We got X here. What's happening right here? And what's the dude doing? And then they tell us the target, perimeter 36. So take a couple minutes. I'm trying not to rush you guys. I'll probably give you until about 9:45 to chat. And even if you don't have anything to talk about, go ahead and copy down the part of this table that we see here. We got a length and a width. Especially the area problems tend to goof with kids, so I figured we'd do it just a perimeter problem.
there's not really any conversation happening. So I'm not stopping you, but I'm curious if anybody can help us with what can we figure out that we've been told just based off what we see in the table. What have we probably been told? Like, and then we have this x plus 2x plus 3 plus 2x plus 3. Like, there's this whole thing, which is here in the doo-doo. I'm real curious about these. Katie, do you want to take a guess at what I highlighted in green and see if you can figure out how to say that in words? Another reminder, because it's Monday, you're always welcome to pass, but I use my cards to make sure that we're all in this together, right? So you want to take a guess at what they're doing or what we can see with the X? Or like I said, you're always welcome to pass. 2, so they all have the 2. And what I highlighted in green, and they all have the 3 in what I highlighted in green. Eli, you want to take a go at it? What do you mean? Say more.
Like, for the most part, it's all the same, except for the number that's in the parentheses.
Oh! It's the same, except for this is 3, that's 6, and now that's X. Boom. Yeah, good observation. I guess I'll let the card... Ooh, is that a hand?
No.
Oh, come on. Did you see how excited I got? You took it away from me. John, I'll let the card speak. John, do you want to jump in and say anything?
Yes, I do. The width and length are going by 3.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know that I get that from this. What do you mean going by 3? I know the guess jumped up by 3, but I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Go ahead, take another stab at it if you want.
X is 9.
I don't want what X is. I want to figure out what they have told us, but they didn't actually tell it to us. They tell us they told us, but they didn't. Kylie? This is like what we were doing last week that was really tough. And that's why we're all kind of taking a moment for it. Aiden? Is that a hand or are you like scared hand?
Oh no, okay. That's what I'm thinking. So X is like the total number, right? The parenthesis must be X times 2 plus 3. That's all I really know in that.
So X is the what here?
Like length.
X is the length, which means the width is, how would we say this like they did last week? Yeah, but how they said it, and I want us to practice writing it like this. Width is 3 more than double or 2 times all right, smartboard, driving me crazy. It's doing that glitch thing where it stops working like every 5 seconds. See if that helps. Guys, do you see it? It's 2 times the thing they chose for the length, then plus 3. But how they said that last week, they said the plus or minus first. Right? 3 more than double the length. That's why we have 2 times whatever the length is plus 3. So guys, really, if this was me, I would say forget what Alan did or whoever. Make this L and make this L. Right? Use the variable that makes your life easier. And then they want the perimeter to be 36. So if 3 was too small and 6 was too big, anyone got a guess for me?
5.
Lucas, is that a hand?
Yeah,
5? All right, Lucas says guess 5.
Because 36 is well away from
Ooh, hold up. if I make the length 5, then 2 times 5 plus 3, I'm going to write this real small, but I'm going to do it. I think that's 13, right? So when I go to add all the sides up, I have 5 plus 5 plus 13 plus 13. What do we get there? 36. Boom. Got it. Questions on that one? So, if we jump to problem 132, are we all good here? Any questions? We did Izzy's. This is from the handout. We already did this. So you guys should have that done on your paper. So Miko saw someone's explanation of the 5D process in this table right here. So go ahead and take a second, check out the table. I should see eyes up on the board. The problem involved a bag of green, red, and blue marbles. Okay. Can you take a second and write down on your graph paper what you can tell from the table? Like 15 for green, that's just a guess. But what can we say from right here? Like, talk with your team, try to write this stuff down. We also know this. But I think we could say like red is, or blue is, and we can even say green is. And I disagree with using X for absolutely everything. Take a couple minutes. I'm going to make myself shut up by flipping the timer. Talk to each other.
Good observation.
Remember, this is not on the worksheet. So even though this looks similar, we want to be writing on a graph paper. Just reviewing the process.
What else can you say?
Could you write down on your paper, green equals, red equals, and blue equals? Not like the numbers, but an expression for each.
That makes sense.
Does it make dollars?
Wow.
Ah! Crash Bandit, you tried to jump off.
Well, actually, let's not do green. Let's do red. So if you look on the board, and look at red, what can we say about
What variable could we use for green better than X?
telling us?
G! Oh man, why didn't they think of that? So we could make green G. I mean, or you could leave it as X, doesn't matter. But guys, if you can use a variable that helps your brain, do it. I used to just teach what CPM said, but then I found myself a couple days from now telling kids if you make your variable G, it's easier. So we might as well do that right now. You can use X if you like X. You can use G. What could you then, Marina, what could we then say about red? Do you know? Yeah, red is green minus 2, or like 2 less than green, right? So we could say R is G minus 2, like they said right here. And Kylie, what could we say about blue? Right here.
Green plus 5.
Not just green plus 5, you're right. But what else is there?
Times 2.
Yeah, double green and then plus 5. Does it make sense what these expressions are telling us? Take green and subtract 5. Take green, double it, and add 5. All right, well, if we try 15 for green, if it was me, I'd probably be trying 10. But they started with 15. How many red would we then have? 13. How many blue would we have? Be careful, do this in order. What's double 15?
35.
Yeah, 30, then add 5, so 35. So 15, 13, 35. Might need a calculator here. Is what? 63, you said? So we're too low. But Miko, not Micah, Miko, so I know it's sometimes weird that kids are like not aware of teachers' first names. My first name's Micah. I think you know that. But so Miko comes out real bold and says, y'all are being silly. And you're like offended. You're like, how dare you call me silly? And Miko, good thing I had the clip on those, right?
Yeah.
Miko says, you don't need to do any of this guess and check stuff. Miko says, I can use algebra and figure this out like that.
Miko's smarter than us.
Not smarter than us, Miko has more experience than us.
Same thing.
So Miko tells us, guys, this right here, this is everything we need. Green, red, and blue in the same type of expressions, right? Variable and numbers. How many X's or G's, if we're going to use G's, how many do I have if I put them all together? I've got an X here, and 2 there. So over here, well, actually we could go right down here or wherever on your paper. Write 4X or 4G, whatever you want to say. Whether you like X's or G's better. I guess we can use X here, because it's kind of what we're used to. Ha ha. 4G messes, or is it 5G messes with the planes? How many constant, be careful, talk to each other really quick. How many constant do you have when you put them together? Constant are the not variables, the other numbers, right? The constant numbers are numbers we know. Layla, what do you think when you put those constants together? Antonella? I think you're still moving around and doing stuff. Anybody, when I put -2 with 5? 3. So here's what Miko does. Miko does make it happen. Or not Miko does, Miko says. So on your paper, I want you to write down 4x plus 3 equals 71. Miko called us silly. How dare they?
71 minus.
So the first thing Miko says is we need to fix this and get all of the constants together. I have an example of this on the board for like when I give you a quiz or a test.
That's weird. Stuttering.
So Miko says, how do I get this plus 3 off of this side and over here? Inverse operations, right? If I subtract 3 from both sides, because I'm allowed to do anything I want as long as I do it on both sides.
68 divided by 4.
I now, can you please stop? You're like spoiling the movie. 71 minus 3 is 68. But that's 4 times the number I'm trying to figure out. Right? That's 4 times the number I'm trying to figure out. So how do I get back to the number that I am trying to figure out? Get rid of that 4 times. How do I undo multiplication? Division, the inverse of it. And this, conveniently enough, makes a giant 1, which we all know and love. So I got to make sure I divide on both sides. What's 68 divided by 4? 17.
So now Miko comes back to the table and says, yeah, we're done, guys. If I know that green is 17, how many would red be? 15. And how many would blue be? Careful doing 17. It's a little tricky of a number. What's double 17? Just shout it out. 34 plus 5 more. 39. There is our correct number of marbles. That's a perfect stopping point. We will practice this algebra solving tomorrow. And then we will do closure on Wednesday. If you need any of the homeworks, please stick around and get it from me. If you need any of the homeworks. Here's what's up. I left in this bundle up to you to pick what comes out of this. I would assume keep this, and I would assume keep this, because these are pretty important cases. Beyond that, this is up to you. Actually, this needs turned in. You have a check on it, so maybe you already did turn it in. I want to make sure that I have it as a check in this book. All of this stuff is like old and already in there. So it's up to you whether you keep it or file away in the folder, right? Because you're doing that thing or that thing. You've got to hold it for me. So then, in a new binder, because I kind of wanted to have a hot sleeve, and my name is right here. You don't have to keep this binder. This one was just starting to look a little rough. So what I wrote here is, don't open these rings. You're not allowed to open these rings. Because when I've gone through it, I've found every single paper, and I've put it in here, and a couple of them are already taken care of. So 5, 2, 3, that was actually already a check. It just wasn't in math. That was my fault, so it's in math. 5, 2, 4 is a C. The rest of chapter 5 is also in here, but I ran out of page right to write down. So that's just like 5, 2, 5, 5, 3, 1 with the rest of the chapter. So starting at 5, 3, 2. That's why I stopped talking. I didn't want to distract you. That's why we can keep the white binder as just the catch-up binder. So if you want to take tonight's homework out of this binder, that's totally fine. So let's close this for a second. So starting at 332, that's right here. And I have highlighted the questions that still need to be completed on every homework, and not like all of them, but the ones that I need to see. So on some of the homeworks, like, I skip problems to make your life a little easier. Some of you have already done a lot of it. A couple of these homeworks you're very close to done, like very close. So go through these, take care of the problems that are highlighted, and on this one, don't be confused. I don't need you to do anything else from the front. I just need you to come back and do this one problem. So literally, there's one problem, and then 4, 1, 2 is done. Here, I think it's another just one problem. You need to draw the axes and do this one. Yeah. So literally, like, there are homework where one problem that can be done. These are all in order, but as you get them done, bring it to me so I can check it. And then I'll put it back, and we'll take it out of this binder, and then we'll cross it off, and we'll keep rolling down the list. Cool? Awesome.
Thank you for organizing that.
You're so welcome.
Awesome.
I'll walk over there so the ordering knows you're late because, well, Miss Martin's going with you too. So we'll let you know why you're late.
Are we still one of ordering today? Because I thought are they not walking?
I don't know.
I could be
Actually,
wrong.
Combs is in Goldring's room, so it might be Combs.
I could be
But
wrong.
I can walk with you anyways.
I don't even know what else I go do. I'll go with you, Katie.
Oh, yeah, we'll walk that way to make sure we know what's going on.
Yeah, because I don't